Okay, here's a quick view of my earthbox train. I have each of these is made out of a 10-gallon Rubbermaid container, and you can see directions for that on YouTube. And here is a rain barrel. Now I normally keep this closed so that the sunlight doesn't, feed the algae and encourage it. But I did want to show you something I have inside. Normally the water is supposed to come in from the roof, down my downspout, and into the rain barrel. Well, sometimes we get sunny days, a few sunny days in a row, and so I came up with this backup system. So this is a float valve that's mounted on a 5-gallon bucket that has holes in the bottom, and I don't know if you can see the rocks down there, but so this thing is going to sink, so the water is never going to go below about 14 or 15 inches. If it does, then this valve will go down and water will come in from that hose, and the hose is connected down here to the spigot. And notice I have that little vacuum breaker on there. That makes sure that if the water pressure from my house goes down, the water won't be sucked from the rain barrel into the drinking water. So this is like a backup system. Okay, so here's where the water goes in. Each of these earth boxes is connected with these horizontal black half-inch tubes. So I only need to put water in one of the boxes to feed the entire array. And here is a little aquarium float valve that's used, and if the level is right, the DC solenoid that's connected to this aquarium float valve in series will close and the water won't flow in. But if the water level goes down, then water will come from the rain barrel into this box, and then it will be distributed via those horizontal black tubes to the entire line of earth boxes. So I think I got that one worked out. And you can see we got some herbs, nasturtium, a couple of pak choi. There's a on the left is a eggplant, and then a pepper, some oregano. Oops, it's a little volunteer. It's a maple tree, and some more pak choi, which I favor for stir fries, and then some tomatoes. There's a brandywine, and then a couple of cherries, different varieties of cherry tomatoes, and so forth. And you can see this nice little vegetable climbing wall. So that's in anticipation that the tomatoes are going to have something to be supported by. It's either that or have them spill over on the deck. Okay, here's other features of the garden. I kind of like that because, even if you didn't have much planting space, you could have the earth boxes on the deck. So here's one of my raised beds, and you can see that vertical PVC coming up, and this is the black flexible tubing with compression fittings that forms this matrix of tubing. And then I have these little 2-gallon per hour emitters that are plugged in every foot or so. So that feeds my garden. And this here is my valve box. Oh, this side. You can see the 3 valves that feed 3 separate zones with the wiring that goes back to a controller. And so all the watering is done automatically. I now water about 20 minutes every day, but I'm thinking of changing that because I've heard that maybe you need to let the watering be a little less frequent. So we got some beans there that were just planted yesterday. I can see I have to admit to not labeling my plants very well, but I have cabbages and broccoli. You can see a little damage there from probably the green looper worm. And I am using neem oil. So I treated them last week, and you can see lots of nice green growth on the Brassicas without any holes on some of the other plants. So I'm pretty encouraged by that. And there's some squashes, and I'm not sure exactly which ones. I will do a better job of labeling next year. So here's another one of those climbing walls, and there's some densely packed tomatoes in that first row of different varieties, and then some peppers in the next row, and then the next row after that is some eggplant, and then finally some squash against that far wall in that 8-foot section there. And this is one of the first beds I planted. Seems a little slow. Maybe I'm not, there's some arugula, which is already bolting there on the left side. Anyway, I have great hopes for this. Maybe next year I'll try something else. But I got some leeks and some onions, as well as some broccoli and lettuce and kale. And there's some pak choi here as well. So I'm learning as I go. Here's my more traditional garden, and I planted some squash by seed. There's some asparagus back there, and I put in some rhubarb. And with that black hose, I can put the emitters wherever I want. So wherever I put the plants, I put an emitter. And hopefully that will encourage growth underground. And here I'm using a little black plastic for some of the heat lovers, the watermelon and eggplant. And here's some that doesn't have the black plastic up front, and we'll see which one does better. And then there's lots of tomatoes here. I plan to put up a couple of posts opposing each other, and I'll draw some string between them to support those plants, and probably do another one right next door for the plants on the other side. And here's some that are using those metal kind of tomato boxes, tomato supporters. I'm going to have a lot of tomatoes. Lots of aromas in there. But there's the view from the east. And there's some more beds over here on this side. These ones seem to be doing a little better for some of the shade lovers. They don't get so many hours of sunlight. I got peas in the back, and some lettuce, and there's a broccoli there that I think was damaged by the green looper worm, and I treated